Well, hello, friends. It's Zach here, along with my radio BFF and all around BFF, Big Dave from Mad Rock. Hello, Dave. How are you?
All right. Why am I in here again?
I don't know. I have no idea. First off, silence your phone, sir.
It's just reminding me of the meeting we have after this.
This is a professional broadcast anytime I'm involved. Okay.
I was about to say, I thought because you were involved, I can just keep my phone up. No.
So today is National Radio Day, by the way.
It is. And National Lemonade Day and National Bacon Day. But those aren't important. National Radio Day is only.
Okay. Hang on a second. National Bacon Day is
those
right
other things
there.
No, not with National Radio Day. There, you can't.
Okay. All right.
Have your bacon lemonade later.
Okay. All right. Well, Killian from The Rock Show, he's going to be celebrating National Bacon Day today.
All right.
Oh, man. So we have National Radio Day today, which is also my radio anniversary. 13 years ago, I started my first ever radio job that you, sir, hired me for.
What was I thinking?
Exactly. It is all your fault. So
I apologize to everyone for my horrible mistake that when I'm on my deathbed, I'll be like, why did I put Zacs Grantham on the radio? That will be my regret in life.
So speaking of all that, here's Cindy Quick, professional.
Yeah. Professional.
Yeah, she knows quite well. But let's be honest, when you hired me to do radio in Ardmore in 2007.
A-Town.
Yes, the 580. You hired me because.
Oh, no.
What'd you say?
Drive-by capital of Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Anyway.
The reason why you hired me is because I was the cheapest, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I have no qualms with the fact you come cheap. That's fine.
Yeah.
You were cheap. You were super cheap.
Well,
you were young and inexperienced, and means that I could pay you as little as possible so I could pay myself more. That's the way this works.
Exactly. That is how it works.
And 13 years later, it's still the same way.
It is. No, it's not. It's not. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, 2007, I started this whole radio thing. I used to work at a marketing department at a casino in Thackerville, the WinStar. And
it was much smaller then.
Yeah, it was. It was the three casinos, and then what was it? Circus, the Pasture. I can't remember. The Circus, the Palace, I don't know. I can't remember.
It wasn't the WinStar World Casino. It was WinStar Casino.
It was not. But now there's a facade. So yeah. So there you go. But basically, you hired me away from there. I was in the marketing department, very interested in radio. And because I was the cheapest, you hired me to do an afternoon show.
Hold on. This is a story I have to tell that I love how you just kind of blow by that you were interested in radio. That's not how any of this happened. Okay. So this is going to give me a headache just thinking about it again. So, back then when radio stations in Ardmore, we would get tickets to go to concerts there at WinStar quite often. And so as radio people who don't get paid a whole lot, of course, we go to free concerts when we can, right? So we can see, because there's no way we could afford these tickets.
Yeah.
And you just so happened that anytime it had any kind of concert to do with our country station or with our rock station, whether you just happened to be there every single time, and you just happened to always be positioned or stationed wherever it was that we happen to be sitting. So it's almost as though you were the one giving us the tickets so that you could then talk to us, or I would say, annoy the crap out of us. How do I get in radio? I'd really love to get in radio. Hey, do you think we could get in radio?
Yeah.
Well, here, you enjoy the concert. Hey, can I get into radio during any pause or anything? It's like, how do I become a board op? How do I get into radio? I've always wanted to be in radio. Do you think I'd be good in radio? Can you do? So it was like the little dog. It was just like bouncing around, Hey, where do we go next? What do we do now? What do we do? Like, okay. So I was like, perhaps maybe I could shut him up for 5 minutes if I just sort of threw him a bone like a literal bone, and said, "Hey, come work as a board op at the radio station."
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And I did learn from you the whole exaggerating for the theater of mind of radio, definitely. But yeah, I do remember. And the funny thing is in the marketing department there at that time, we had folks that were sending like country, like concert tickets to radio stations that didn't even play country. So because I was interested in radio, I was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and head this up. So I started doing that, and that's when I started working one-on-one with the radio stations that would show up. And yes, I did pester Big Dave, definitely, when he was working at the rock station up in Ardmore.
Hester.
What's up, Jeremy? By the way, Jeremy, I just want to let you know that this morning I called Stan Smith Stan Thomas.
Professional radio.
It is, yes, professional for sure. So yeah, I started there, and I remember that when the job interview process was happening, I remember you saying that I want to have you do a show in the afternoon on like a Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, so that way we can just kind of see how it goes. And it just happens to be that there was a severe thunderstorm warning for Bryan County that day, and I remember talking to you about it, Dave, afterwards, and you said, well, and I'm telling you, I wanted to grow up to be just like Tom Miller. And I remember, I think every break was talking about this severe thunderstorm warning in Bryan County. Now, by the way, Bryan County in our listening area for Katy Country, it's on the fringe of the station that I was working for in Ardmore.
Way fringe.
Yes, and I was talking about it like it was happening right there at Ardmore.
Staticky fringe, where when the storm was going, they couldn't hear you at all. But hey, you were letting everybody else around them know. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, so there you go. So that happened. But yeah, I was the cheapest, and because of my marketing and promotional experience, I'm pretty sure that was the reason why I ended up getting the job. But yeah, so now we are 13 years later. I know there's probably some embarrassing stories along the way, but basically what ended up happening is when Dave came down to Sherman and Denison to come work for Mad Rock.
I was trying to get away from you, and then you followed me.
No,
you not how that works. I was like, I like hired you in 2007, and I left in 2009 because 2 years is about as much as anybody could handle you.
No, it's not.
I'm like calling down. I was like, I see the job down here open, and I was like, oh, I need to do this because freaking Zach is just driving me crazy. So I'm down here, and I get what? How many years? When did you come to Katy Country? I forget.
2013.
2013. So I got almost 4 years of peace, and then the little dog followed me again.
Yeah, well, I remember for some reason I remember a phone call from you that actually happened, but I could be wrong.
No, you're. My story is more entertaining, but yours is the right one.
Let's just say, can I share where I received the phone call from?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. That's
okay. All right. I remember being at my job and receiving a phone call from you saying, "Hey, if you're interested, this may be happening." And so it was a little weird when I got a phone call and you were like, "Hey, it's Big Dave," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, haven't heard from you in 4 years. What's going on?
Yeah, why are you calling me all of a sudden? Oh, that's great. But yeah,
you want to know why I called you, right?
Why?
Because I knew how much money that they had, and they need somebody to.
You're not wrong there. Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. But so anyway, so what ended up happening is I started doing afternoons, and then I started doing the morning show. It was, I don't think officially it was Christmas Eve, but it's going to be coming up on 5 years Christmas Eve that I will be doing the morning show and be at Katy Country. 8 years coming up in February. So time does fly by. But Dave, how long have you been doing this crazy radio stuff?
This is 2020 is my 28th year. Started in 1992 up in Durant.
Durant.
Yeah. Doing weekend. So this is how you get started. You know, you're usually the cheapest. And so that's when they hire you. So my dad was a preacher in Durant at a Durant church, right?
Yeah.
And so they were playing the Sunday services on the radio, and they just needed somebody young, cheap to push play. I mean, I was just a push play, push stop, push play some commercials, push play. And I can tell you like the first time I was ever able to get on the air and do the weather report, I'm pretty sure I gave like a 7-minute long weather report. So it was basically our same story. I didn't have the thunderstorm to do, but I did instead of the, hey, it's going to be cloudy, it's going to rain today or whatever, I did like a 7-minute long just spiel about what direction the wind was coming. So it was basically like a Tom Miller forecast now on KXI.
That's you doing the barometric pressure.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
Talking about those funnel systems or frontal systems or whatever they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something similar. Like when I was so basically, what I did is that at the casino, I started working part-time so that way I could do part-time radio stuff just to get my foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And I remember having to come in to cover the morning show on our country station because the DJ was actually out, and I think y'all were at some like water park facility or something.
Drunk?
Huh?
He was drunk?
No, not this time. I'm not really for sure. You may have been as well, but I think all the morning show hosts.
I remember that now. I haven't thought of that in years until you just said that. We were at the Ardmore pool.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes, they had just put in like a slide or something there, and it was still like 30 below zero or whatever. And I just remember how cold it was out there, but we were swimming and doing a live broadcast out of the.
You were, and I think it was. I can't remember who was on the. Oh, it was. Gosh, I can't remember the other guy, but I know it was you and Wynn, and it was.
Andel was out there with us.
Huh?
Andel was out there with us.
Andel and was it Steve?
It would have been Steve Bart, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so so y'all are all out there, and I was on the country station on the morning show, and I remember saying, well, there's all these like live sponsorships and stuff, and I think it was you that you were like, well, do them, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it was like the same thing here. I'm reading these sponsorships, and I'm like, the weather is brought to you by, and of course I'm like fumbling over words. It's like a 15-second script. But yeah, I remember you one time you said, so you're either going to sink or you're going to swim. So which one do you want to do? And I was like, I want to swim. And I think you may have told me I was way overdressed too, because I think I showed up in a dress shirt and a tie.
Yeah, Killian's got the same kind of story about interviewing with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were like.
I'm pretty sure I was in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts at the time you came in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now you're just in shorts and a plaid shirt. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go.
So I'm just going to say, I mean, you did a lot of stuff at those other stations. Within that 2 years that I worked with you at the other stations, I have a lot of great blackmail pictures that I can use.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not even sure that Jenny knows about some of the pictures that I have, but I remember, I mean, you've probably shared pictures of you in the leprechaun outfit, and I remember being outside the Arbuckle Ballroom in Davis, right, and us doing fake pictures of you getting arrested by the police.
Oh yeah,
in your leprechaun outfit. But I mean, we had a lot of good, like we did a lot of station events and stuff at the Arbuckle Ballroom and at the Tivoli and stuff in Ardmore. I mean, we had a pretty good time, and we have blackmail pictures. Like I have pictures of you mud wrestling.
Oh yeah, you do.
Now this was before you even met your wife. Now, I mean, you hadn't even met this time, but I have pictures of you with some scantily clad folks. Mud wrestling. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I remember it started. Now, didn't it start where you were like actually going to wrestle my co-host Andel at the time, right? That's how it started.
Because I'm pretty certain that y'all thought that she could beat me up, and by the way, there's no doubt about it. She could beat me up.
Andel could beat up anybody. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And so y'all basically were like, so it became like the stations against each other.
Yeah.
And. And that's exactly what happened. But then when we ended up being at the ballroom, and so this group of like, I don't know, like mud wrestling or oil wrestling or something, they were there. So it decided that I think she and I fought each other. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, then these girls over here are going to come get Zach as well.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they didn't. It's like they were so excited to see you and Andel going at it that they just felt the overwhelming need to join you. And like the rest of us at the radio stations, we're all just kind of like, is this really happening? Kind of thing? Happening? Yeah, it's like, and I was like, wait a minute, I have a camera. Click, 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 click. So I can't share it digitally, but I'm like, and I came across those pictures again just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, well, that's good.
I should send you just one to say this is a little sliver, a little taste. Because I'm waiting for your boys to get old enough where I'm going to share it with them.
Oh, well,
your dad. Don't let your dad ever tell you to do anything because this is what he did.
Hey, by the way, I found that photo of me in the leprechaun outfit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the background there.
Background. What are you doing?
Oh no, I put it in the wrong spot, dude.
You know how to use this?
I don't know how to use any of this. Well, I'll figure it out eventually. Oh, there you go. There's the spot that you should upload it. But yeah, I just remember being at the ballroom, the Arbuckle Ballroom in Davis, with Joe Exotic, and being able to have some fun. I think it was the Murray County Sheriff's Office. But yeah, there's that photo.
Yes, that was classic. And didn't you ride the mechanical bull that same night in the outfit?
Yeah, and I actually have issues there because they told me they were going to go slow.
They did not.
And they did not. And I came within like maybe 6 or 8 inches from flying into the railing and like breaking my arm. Like that would have been an issue there for sure. But yeah, we had a lot of fun along the way. And of course, Dave, I'm being serious when I say this. If it wasn't for you, then this whole radio career of mine wouldn't have happened at either stop. And you know that. So I'm forever in debt. So later on in life, when I'm an ops manager for some radio stations and you need a job, I promise I will return the favor.
And I'll try to be as cheap as possible.
No, you won't.
No. So there is one little story we have to share before we go.
Go ahead, because yeah, we got another meeting to go to here. We have to be professional here in about 9 minutes.
The story of how you almost got fired.
Which time?
You almost got fired. Well, one thing was about Reba. So we'll talk about this story.
Mm-hmm.
The Reba story. So you're on the air, and this wasn't on Katy Country. So this was like years ago, before Zach learned how to lie really well. He went on the air and talked about the fact that how did you put it? You just didn't like Reba or one of her songs or something?
No, okay. I never said I didn't like Reba.
You said you couldn't believe. You said you couldn't believe that Southern Oklahoma loved Reba McEntire as much as that there were so many other better country artists out there, and you got like, I think that's the first time that station ever got like hate mail was because of what you said about Reba.
No, it's like a fish story. I got a 10-pound bass and it turns into 18 pounds, several years later. I said, and I love Reba. She's the queen of country music. But I said,
no, you don't. The reason you don't, because when you got a dog, you still felt bad about saying bad things about Reba, and then you named your dog that you had adopted Reba, and then you lost the dog, didn't you? Like the dog just disappeared or whatever. So yeah, you sure do like Reba, both versions. You wish they'd all disappear. Anything named Reba, great.
Oh man, you're awesome. There was a song that I thought that Reba didn't have to remake.
Yeah,
she could do her own hits, and so there you go.
And you said that on the air.
I said that on the air, and our general manager did not like that one bit.
No,
not our current general manager, but at the last stop,
had to convince him to keep you on the air.
You sure did.
Yes. Yeah. And then there was another time that, and anybody at Katy Country listens to Katy Country knows that on occasion, any radio station, that we'll have storms that come through, we'll have problems, we'll have power outages, we'll have, any of these things that on occasion happen that take us off the air. And it's very unfortunate. A lot of times we try to notify listeners that that's happening. But I remember one instance where this happened, and we had somebody at the station. We had Steve there at the station, and you called in to try to help him because he wasn't sure exactly because for whatever reason, and anybody who's ever worked with tech, you can set up tech so that if power goes out, when it comes back, that it just stays off like a computer would do. In this case, the radio station control board, and I'll just move it one of these control boards back here, it was set so that whenever this power went out and came back on, that everything was on.
Which I don't know why it was set up that way.
Because the engineer was on drugs, I'm pretty sure of it. But they set it up so that everything turned back on. And so you were on the phone with Steve trying to figure out what was wrong and didn't realize that you were on the air. And you said some words that Jesus would not like.
Well, you're exactly right. You're exactly right on that one for sure.
Now, lucky for you, I heard about it, but I didn't hear it. I just heard about it. So again, like with these stories, the 10-pound bass, I think that the 10-pound bass went down to a little minnow in this case. The word that you used on the air was the 10-pound bass, but then as the story progressed, it got down to the size of a little bitty minnow that wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
'Cause if you had said the 10-pound bass word, you would have been fired immediately. But because the story ended up, because I don't know how you managed to get with Steve and coordinate that story, but by the time we actually worked it out, the story was it was a little minnow that was caught. So it wasn't.
And I will say the fact that the song that was airing at the time was "Teardrops on My Guitar" by Taylor Swift, which has just a guitar in it.
Yeah.
Didn't really help me. But hey, what's funny, and we have to wrap up to go to our next meeting. I've learned a lot in my radio career, and I'm a different man now. I'm still crazy, but I'm a different man now, and I've learned things that you should or should not do. And one of those is call in on the request line when you have an issue with the radio station.
But bass word. I'll let everybody just in their mind know what that we're talking the biggest word of them all that you could possibly say on the radio to get yourself in trouble.
I don't know what you're talking about, but what saved me was they kept saying that it was not me that was saying certain things. They couldn't say if it was me or somebody else, right? Wasn't that the thing?
Yes, it could have, because there was Steve in the studio, it was you on the phone, like all the mics were on too. So anything that they said and there was like somebody else in the background. So there was and there wasn't a record of it. There wasn't a recording of it because we could have gone back to listen to it. So lucky for you, that 10-pound bass word ended up just a little bitty minnow that didn't get you fired.
Dave, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my wife, well, she wasn't my wife at the time. She was actually listening at that time, and she heard somebody.
The 10-pound bass word or the minnow word?
All of it. So she was like, what is going on? And then eventually I ended up marrying her. Oh, man.
Right, so she couldn't testify against you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, happy 13th anniversary, Zach.
Well, thank you, sir, for saving my 10
bass
several times. Oh my goodness. Oh man. And let's see. Cindy says, "Don't scar the boys for life, Dave."
Yeah, those pictures. I'll wait till they're 18 at least.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we got a meeting. I gotta be.
We gotta go professional.
Okay.
In the meeting, let's just randomly say 10-pound bass and see if it'll just be an inside joke.
Okay, cool. I like that. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for putting up with me. And Dave, I love you hard too.